Hey everyone, what's up? Joining you once again with Battle Roads coverage from the Spring Battle Roads here. I wasn't actually at this one, but Mark Oliver, my co-narrator, was, so what are we dealing with, Mark?
What's up, everybody? This is game 2 of a best of 3 from Sherwood, Arkansas Battle Roads right before Nationals. On the left-hand side, we have the Tyler Typhlosion, Ty Smith from Oklahoma, who is currently up 1-0. On the right-hand side, Josh Squeaky Marking from Tennessee. On the left-hand side, Ty is playing Darkrai Smeargle Tornadus. On the right-hand side, Squeaky's got Zeal with Terrakion.
And the Terrakion is going to be really key in this matchup. We saw that it, almost brought him a somewhat of a comeback in game one. It took 3 prizes really late there. But we're seeing Ty Mulligan a couple of times too, which, happens in a lot of these Darkrai variants. They really don't run that many basics.
Really doesn't. I mean, he's got Smeargle, Darkrai, and Tornadus, and the occasional Mewtwo. We saw, even last game, Ty started with the lone Mewtwo, and just as far as the starts go, not the best of starts, but Ty always seems to find a way to pull himself out of it.
Yeah, and I think Darkrai is a really great deck for Ty because it just gives you so much versatility with the free retreat shenanigans that it really can just make the early game really fast or the middle game, or kind of it is what you need it to be.
Since Squeaky lost game 1, he elects to go first here. He'll random receiver, and I believe he got a punt off of it, and doesn't seem like he likes his option here, so he'll junk arm from the random receiver again. It could be a method of just getting lightnings in the discard. We know he'll need him there eventually. Interesting play.
Yeah, and he takes the punt, so it wasn't that he didn't like his supporter. And usually, if you have a punt, you're not very upset with having punt. It's the most consistent card. It's a great turn 1 supporter, and he's going to get a pretty good punt. We see a couple of Tynamos and a Smeargle, so that's about as good of a start as you can get.
Pretty much. So Ty will get his first turn here, a special dark on his Darkrai, and really needing to find himself some more basics to try to get set up here. Squeaky had a very good turn 1.
Yeah, and Ty's not so much so far. Unfortunately, he doesn't have like the Smeargle in the active spot to be able to and use Dark Patch. You can't Dark Patch to your active. And Ty's going to really just kind of struggle this first turn.
So let's see what Ty draws off the punt here, trying to get some sort of a setup here. No Pokemon in his hand. Lots of trainers, lots of useful trainers, but just not useful right now.
Yeah, we see a couple of scoop ups, which, that would lose you the game if you used. He actually had 2 different ones now. He has one from Platinum and one from Neo Genesis, I think.
Yes, I believe so. And of course, Squeaky's going to get his first Electric here, and it took him quite a while to get one last game, and it really made the difference. Getting those early Eels puts a lot of pressure on, and of course he has the 2 energies on Zekrom, and we'll get the Outrage for 20. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's kind of harsh that he had to use the fighting energy. I don't know what his count is. Personally, I really liked running a higher count of those. It really helps. Most people are running 3, maybe 4, which was what I was running.
So Ty will get the Pokemon Catcher, he'll bring up the Electric, kind of stall a little bit until he can get a setup here. He finally finds himself a Smeargle and can try to Portrait and see if he can catch up to speed with Josh, but he's still a little bit behind given Josh's pretty good start so far.
I think one thing that's going to be interesting and a big factor in this game is the Dark Claw, if I'm doing my math right, which actually, no, it won't. The Dark Claw won't make a difference. That actually just kind of speaks to how good Eviolated Zekrom is.
It negates the Eviolite, which helps, especially if Squeaky drops a Mewtwo with an Eviolite. It may make a huge difference down the road. Ty's a big fan of the one of Dark Claw.
Yeah, but one of the things is after a Bolt Strike, you'd be at 20, and then after the Night Spear, you'd be at 90. So that's 110 damage, which really, you can't even. It would take 2 Night Spears on the bench to knock it out. It's kind of Zekrom really complicates Darkrai math, and really.
Well, he's a good card. He's one of the best attackers of this format, hands down.
For sure, and I think the only really good answer Ty has to it, aside from trying to 2-shot it with Darkrai, which isn't a very good answer, is Mewtwo is still a pretty good answer to this deck. Or to this card.
And we know that Squeaky plays Mewtwo as well. They both started Mewtwo versus Mewtwo at the beginning of game 1. And got another energy, a Dynamotor to the Zekrom, and a switch. And Zekrom's going to take himself a prize here. A Bolt Strike the Smeargle, and Squeaky will go ahead on prizes for the first time in this top 2.
Yeah, and that's going to be a really big deal. Squeaky's deck is probably the more setup deck. It's the one, it runs Terrakion, so it's not really a speedy version of Zeal. So taking the first prize, is a huge deal, especially when it's do or die in game 2 here.
So Ty will drop an Ultra Ball, get himself another Darkrai here, which is probably a really good play just to get things working. And EV Lighted Zekrom is so tough for a lot of matchups. Actually, sometimes you just have to plow through it.
That's one of the reasons a lot of Darkrai decks, other than Darkrai, were running Terrakion just to kind of combat this really nasty threat that's only worth 1 prize card.
So Ty will Portrait an N from Squeaky. They'll both go in. Ty will get a hand of 6. Squeaky gets a hand of 5. And I can't get over this nickname, Squeaky. I feel like every Pokemon player should have a nickname. I know I'm often called Moo Cow, but Adam, you're going to need a nickname soon, man. You're going to be popular with this channel, and you're going to need something.
Well, I don't know about popular with the channel. That still takes a lot of work, but if you guys want to come up with a nickname, I think that might be a horrible idea, but I'll let you do it.
Get Adam a nickname initiative. So
right.
Smeargle retreats. Here comes Darkrai. And it'd be nice if Ty had a catcher. He doesn't, but trying to stack the 30s up on the Eels, that works just as well. Ty will take a prize off the Zekrom.
And we're really seeing Ty play a lot of different versions of the same card. Is that 2 special darks? It looks like a newer one and an older one.
I believe it's just 1 special dark.
Well, I'm seeing it as Darkrai, special dark.
Oh, excuse me. There are 2 special darks. I was looking at the regular dark. There are 2 specials, 1 regular, and a dark claw.
Okay, so that's actually one scenario where we really see Ty playing his Darkrai math really well, adding the 2 special darks and the dark claw just to get that exact KO on that Zekrom.
We ran the same deck. I actually played against Ty in the previous Hot Springs Battle Roads, and he swore by those special darks, and they seem to give him a lot of KOs where other Darkrai decks just fall short.
Yeah, I think
it's risk versus reward, but in Ty's favor, it manages to work for him.
The one problem with running the Dark Claws, though, is that, especially for this matchup, when you look at it as a Terrakion player, right when you see that Dark Claw dropped, you know that that's a Darkrai that you're going to be able to knock out pretty much no matter what, as long as you can hit it.
Right.
So this Terrakion drop could be really significant. It's kind of risky. It doesn't look like he has the fighting energy with all this hesitation. So
he's definitely thinking it over, and of course, you wonder, do you drop it if you don't have anything to do with it? Possibly has a switch in his hand just in case, but then again, why end up burning the switch if you don't have to?
Yeah, switches are really important with Terrakion. As I've always said, Terrakion is a fatty, so you need switches. And it's going to be rough, especially when you're playing an opponent who basically has free retreat on everything. You can't really stall against Darkrai, but Darkrai can stall against you.
Both players tied at 5 prizes. Ty is up 1 game to none in this best of 3 top 2. And a lot riding on this one. Of course, Ty is on the cusp of going to Worlds, and this Battle Roads would provide him with some cushion championship points that will bring hopefully, make him have to not try as hard as Nats, don't have to go as far in the top cut at Nats in order to get a Worlds invite. Yeah,
and we see a really big Juniper here. He gets a 3rd eel out, which is fantastic. He also gets the fighting energy, and he's going to be able to retaliate with Darkrai. Against Darkrai. That's going to be huge.
So a little bit of a risk there by Squeaky, I would say, but it seems like it's going to work out for him.
And we'd only seen 1 fighting energy up until this point, and we talked about not being sure about his counter fighting energy, but that's a really, really nice play.
And he'll get himself an Eviolite here to beef up the Terrakion a bit, and if he happens to have a fighting energy in his hand, it's going to be probably smooth sailing from here on out. Squeaky's down to 3 prizes, Ty still has 5, and just taking a look at the board, I don't see any energies in play.
The other thing, though, is that Ty does have a Eviolite attached to his Darkrai. So even if he gets the Land Crush off, it won't be a one-shot. And if you don't get the fighting energy on, Ty can really do some nasty stuff with special darks, with Night Spearing and catchering around, and really avoiding the Terrakion. That's his best play, is to conserve catchers and try and play around it.
He's going to catch up the Eel because, he has no energies on the field, and he's going to have to hit some dark patches. Of course, he's going to get 1 there, and it'll be pretty beneficial, I think. He drops the DCE, and, of course, he still has a Portrait available, and maybe he could take out an Electric this turn and try to get things going. I'm not sure you want to take out the Electric because of the Retaliates, but you got to figure something out here.
Yeah. The other thing to note is that putting DCEs on your Darkrai really makes them susceptible to Mewtwo, even with the Eviolite. If you're able to Night Spear, if you have the two Darks and the DCE, that's 40 damage you're adding to their Night Spear just on your energy alone, plus whatever energy they have on them. So that's really going to make him susceptible, especially in a scenario where right now you have 3 Eels on the board. He'll presumably go down to 2 after the knockout. That's still a lot of damage potential.
So another Dark Patch, a Catcher, and a Mewtwo. A very nice punt for Ty off the portrait. So one Darkrai is charged up. He can Catcher up the Terrakion and really try to go to work here. Of course, he got the portrait, which helps because now he knows what Squeaky has in his hand. Of course, he does have supporters to refresh, but you gotta go through the Terrakion. You can't go around it because Terrakion will punish you in return.
Yeah, I'd really like to see the Super Rod here, maybe. If you could do that, then you can get that fighting energy back in your discard. You can try and go for it. I don't know if he runs plus power or not. I feel like you have to, though, in this format, especially with Eviolating Darkrai's and using Terrakion. I feel like it's key. If you could hit the fighting energy and plus power, that's game pretty much. But ooh.
So a DCE on the Terrakion.
I think we might see someone retreat. That's a rarity. But if he does that, he has Dynamotor, so he could potentially, if he hits a catcher, he could also take out the Tornadus EX. Let's not forget about that. Zekrom, takes really easy prizes. So benching that
I think that's what he's going for, actually, and it's actually a pretty good play. Now he just has to have a catcher. Also could go to the Smeargle for a switch by chance, or just go straight for the Bolt Strike. But would have been nice to get that catcher for the Tornadus EX kill for sure.
Yeah, that would bring this game a lot closer to being clinched. It'd bring him down to 1 prize card. It's crazy how that 1 card counters that other card so well, and it's still going to be a factor for the rest of the game. Getting damage on the Darkrai is really nice for the rest of this game, and there's the Zekrom's still in play, and everything's still looking pretty good for Squeaky.
It's very tough for Ty. Sure, he can knock out the Terrakion. Zekrom can come back, can Outrage, or Bolt Strike rather for the KO. And then what attacker do you really have? Oh, he's got the Super Scoop Up, and that's going to be really big there. And, Ty says he's not a fan of flippy cards, but we all saw what he did at Arkansas State, and he won with a lot of dual balls and a lot of flips there too. And sometimes the flips just fall on your favor.
Yeah, I think part of playing those cards really well is assuming the risk, realizing that they're not going to work all the time, and being able to play around those cards not working. And Ty has done a really nice job of that so far. We saw his dual balls just fail in the first game, and he was kind of faced with the scary situation for a while, and he was able to come back.
So he has a Dark Patch off the Juniper and a Junk Arm for a second one, if he so wished to do that. He did attach the DCE to the Tornadus EX, which makes us think he's going to try to go for the Power Blast KO. But Zekrom's right there waiting.
Zekrom also has an Eviolite, so he actually can't use Blow Through, which is really, inconveniencing Ty.
So he's going to go for it here, and it won't be like you said, the Eviolite will stop the knockout here. And interesting play, of course. Squeaky would have to have a switch to get out, and it's a gutsy play, but may work out for him.
I definitely agree with this play. If you can take 2 prizes this easily,
yep. Drop the DCE, Sky Arrow makes that retreat just 3. He can Bolt Strike for 2 prizes, and Ty has only taken 1 at this point, and Squeaky will go down to 1 prize. It's really looking like this is going to go to a game 3.
And it's all right to go down to 1 prize. You don't have to be as nervous with ends and stuff if you're playing Eels. Eels plays off the board so well. We haven't seen Squeaky play many, if any, dual balls. There's 1. So I don't know if I'd play the dual ball here just in case he hits you at the end and you have a full bench. But he might have actually been looking to just see what's in his deck still. But, those dual balls can really help you just get out that last attacker that you're going to need to take that last prize.
Absolutely. Of course, at this point, you go for the punt. Do you need anything at this point? You have the Pokemon that you want to knock out active. What else could you be looking for here?
Yeah.
Unless you're just calling the bluff on the end.
He does hit the Super Rod, which actually is, we're just saying, what does he want? Well, that's pretty much the best card he could play now. But aside from that, I don't know if I would have played the punt. Hindsight's 20/20. He did hit the Super Rod, but you want to conserve supporters in case you
did he hit an N? Did he hit an N off of his punt? That's the big question that goes through my mind. Smeargle's going to go active, and Ty's going to hope to definitely at least see what Squeaky has in his hand and see if there's anything he can do to play off of it.
And the real nasty thing with Smeargle is that if you hit an N off your prizes, you don't have a chance to play that N, and your opponent can just play that N for you and really hurt you in the late game.
So Ty is going to do the Night Spear, and he's going to take 2 prizes off an Eel and a Zekrom. Ty's going to go down to 3, Squeaky down to 1. And there's the fighting. He's going to have the Lightning for the Dynamotor.
And
it looks like he's going to Junk Arm and Catcher the Smeargle. That will be game 2. And we're going to go to game 3 with a 1-1 tie.
All right, guys, make sure you rate, like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you later.